Hey, everybody. Welcome to the webinar today. I have with me here John Cornell, manager at East Bay Public Safety Microwave Network and Interagency Video System. We also have Greg Dunbar, the Global Director of Sales for Public Safety and Defense here at Teradek, and myself, Derek Nickell, who is a Technical Product Manager for Public Safety and Defense here at Teradek. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to Greg to do an intro, and we can get this thing started.
Thank you, everybody, for jumping on today. This is our first public safety webinar. Hopefully, it'll be one of many talking about very specific topics. Today, we're going to talk about how Teradek's two main solutions fall into the tactical bubble scenario and then in standalone solutions. So if we can go to the next slide here. So we're going to talk the agenda, the tactical bubble, aviation downlink scenarios, drone downlink scenarios, maritime deployments, how this ties into command vehicles, real-time crime centers, and fusion centers, and then ultimately, how do you share this video internally or with mutual aid partners? The big takeaway you'll find is that Teradek is just a tool that operates within your existing tools that you have or that your clients have, whether that's ATAK, VMS, Fusus, microwave downlinks, MAN-A, Starlink, etc. Then we're going to have Derek, the product manager, jump on and walk you through very specific details of workflow and the Teradek solution. And then we'll end the session with John Cornell from East Bay Regional Park Service to talk through what the San Francisco Bay Area has done using Core and the Core Share piece of it. And they'll actually show you a live demo of how easy it really is. Next. So a little bit about tactical bubble. A lot of you know me from my past life and where we talked a lot about the tactical bubble. So I just wanted to bring that up here. And ultimately, it's for incident commanders to utilize technology assets when they're at a local event, whether that's an inauguration, a protest, or like a hostage standoff, whatever that is. That incident commander needs to be able to take all the different IT assets and bring them into a single location in order to make a better decision faster, and then have the flexibility to determine whether they're going to share that to the rest of the world, whether that's back at headquarters or to other agencies that may be supporting them. When you're running a tactical bubble, a lot of times it's with MAN-A radios, but MAN-A radios always need an uplink. So one of the key things about Teradek is that not only are we the encoder, which allows you to bring all this video from drones and robots and aviation sensors and high-end cameras into the tactical bubble, but also our network bonding capability can take up to 9 different networking sources. So that's a variety of like LEO satellites like Starlink or multiple cell carriers, traditional SATCOM, landlines, combine them all together to aggregate them to give you the fattest pipe possible as that uplink for the tactical bubble. And then for areas where you have outstanding cellular coverage, which is like 95% of the time in most metro areas, then Teradek can actually act as a standalone device for very specific use cases that we're going to be going through here today. Next. So a lot of you may recognize some of this equipment for your traditional microwave downlinks. On the left side of the screen, you see your actual downlink location. This could be a portable mast, a rooftop, or a mast system on top of a command bus. And then you'll see, like this is the link controller, the link box from Troll on the bottom left. Where Teradek fits in would be our Flex platform, and this is a Wi-Fi based encoder, so it can act as just a regular encoder, and then it has the ability of joining a Wi-Fi network as well, and that would be installed inside an aircraft as an example here. And you see the Troll tracking dish antenna on the bottom of the aircraft, and you see a FLIR, I believe that's a FLIR gimbal on the aircraft as well. Next. If you're utilizing a MAN-A solution, there's a couple of different options on the ground. It can be a tracking dish solution from like Optimal Technologies. And then you have, this is a picture of the Silvus MAN-A Prism mast solution that can also be on rooftops or towers. And there's a portable trailer system down the bottom. Again, it's the same Flex encoder that would tie into the aircraft using Omni antennas on the skids, and then going into, this is a Traca gimbal as an example for this particular agency, going to a MANA system that is on the back of this fire rig. So in this scenario, Teradek is operating as the encoder. Next. Now, when you start integrating 4 and 5G capabilities as a downlink, either as a backup to your traditional microwave or your MANA system, or again, if you're in a metro area that has just really good cell coverage, then you can utilize this on a lot of cases for most of your mission sets. This is the Prism Mobile. You can see how small it is. It can integrate into your standard salt and pepper shaker style antennas on the belly of the aircraft, or to a blade style that you might want to mount on one of the skid cross members. And it is extremely small. That fits into the storage cabinet on this Airbus. And it will work whether it's helicopters or fixed wing. You'll see a gimbal on a King Air up to the top right. So it doesn't matter whether it's fixed wing or traditional helicopters. Next. What we have found is that when it comes to Teradek, 4,000 feet and below is our sweet spot as far as getting that bonded networking capability down to the ground. We are cell carrier agnostic, or if you're utilizing private 5G. However, we did find to go above that, up to 10,000 feet, tying in a Starlink Mini is extremely helpful. So whether it's inside the cabin itself or mounted on top of in a cowling, I've provided a couple of data sheets. Leonardo DRS, their special missions group, actually worked with Starlink to not only get into the code, but also the hardware to make it for fast-moving platforms out there, especially like on the fixed air side of things. And then you can have also Starlink as an uplink option that our Prism Mobile would tie into on the bottom middle picture. Next photo. So here's some of our downlink partners. Again, we're kind of sensor agnostic, whether it's Traca, Teledyne FLIR, Leonardo, Shotover, or Rescam. Next. There are 3 real downlink scenarios for the drone world. Immediately when drones started being used, we started flying them out of the back of Tahoes or pickup trucks. Now we have some teams that are embedding a drone pilot in with tactical units, so they're actually pushing away from the vehicle. And then the last scenario is, the most current hot topic is DFR, so drones as a first responder. So this is a picture of a Skydio box that would be mounted on a rooftop and can fly anywhere in the city, beyond line of sight. And pretty much all the blue UAS platforms have something like this, and even DJI does, but Brink has a solution as well. So in this particular case, we are bringing the video out of the bottom of the controller and into our Prism Mobile. And then from there, we are now onto the network into our core platform, or bring it into ATAK or any VMS platform. Next. So some of our current UAS platforms that we've tested this capability of coming out of either the micro HDMI or the full-size HDMI on the bottom of the controller, and then out of Prism and into a variety of these systems would be the Loki from Axon, FreeFly, Autel Robotics, DJI, Skydio, Brink, and Teledyne FLIR. Next. So sharing this video downlink material for either internal uses or through mutual aid. We have TAC rigs you see on the left-hand side. That's usually going to be a direct connect down. If there is really good cell connections, then it can go to their phones that are active. A lot of the TAC phones aren't active on cellular because they're tied into MANA radios. So that's where you would have the MANA connected to the EUD on the TAC rig, and then the Teradek would be feeding into the MANA network. And vice versa, to act as its uplink. It could be a mobile command rig in the center, or a TAC, or like a real-time crime center on the right. VMS or the Core Share program out of Teradek or ATAK. All 3 can be done at the same time, depending on the end user and what platform they prefer to be using. Next. For maritime applications, currently, a lot of these boats, the larger safe boats, have the maritime version of a FLIR camera on top. And we can take that camera feed and tie it to an encoder and then bring it back across either Starlink if we're in territorial waters where there is substantial cellular connectivity. Then we can tie it into the bonded networking side of things, or we could tie it into a microwave system or a mayonnaise system if that's what the end user has deployed to keep track of their boats. Next. When you look at scenarios with different command vehicles or the fusion centers or real-time crime centers, a lot of time it's a fast networking capability inside the buildings. So how do you get it from the mobile out and getting into the building? It's not necessarily going to be a Starlink that's up there. So it'd be something else, usually like a landline or fiber. We would have a decoder option, which Derek is going to go over inside these command vehicles or the fusion centers and real-time crime centers. Makes it a cleaner approach, so you don't have to worry about links timing out on laptops if you're using the Teradek Core platform, or if you're providing video into a VMS platform. If it is ATAK, then you're relying on your normal connectivity via your ATAK solution. Next. So I'm going to wrap up my part of the presentation here. And Teradek is just another tool that you have. It's not meant to supplant other things that they may already have deployed. It works with a variety of video management software, whether it's Airship, Milestone, Genetec, etc. We work with ATAK. We work with Axon's Evidence.com and Fusus platforms, traditional microwave or mayonnaise systems. And then one of the coolest things we've seen in the last, I'd say 60 days, is that all three major cell carriers have now announced partnerships with some flavor of low Earth orbiting satellites like Starlink. That is going to be a real game changer, especially for along the border areas of both the northern and southern border, and then in rural America. So as that gets ironed out, it's going to be exciting to see how private 5G linked with those carriers, and then the adopting LEO is going to really tie stuff together. So we'll go to the next slide here. And we're going to turn it over to Derek, our product manager for public safety and defense.
Thanks, Greg. So I'm going to go over the actual product itself and what options we do have from a hardware and software standpoint on the Teradek side. First off, I'm going to cover what we've been looking at already. We have an aircraft or body-worn solution using the Prism Mobile, and we do have TAA certified 5G modems, so we can be compliant with federal regulation. The entire chassis on any of our equipment is milled aluminum, so it can take a beating. It's got some structure to it. We can work with your standard BNC connectors or SDI from tactical computers or FLIR systems, and we can also take in HDMI from drones or other video sources as well. These work on very resilient power circuits as well, so we could take in 7 to 28 volts of regulated DC voltage. So if we are working within an aircraft, having a regulated DC connection that exists on the aircraft is something that we could power off of as well. For the body-worn system, we have small batteries that we can tie these together with one of our other partners, Anton Bauer, and deliver a full package to the end user with data as well as power situation. To add to that, if you need extended coverage, we offer a mobile pack that adds another 5 modems, 5G modems to this as well. It sheds rain. It also has the backpack doesn't, but the rest of our kit still has the same milled aluminum, so it is very resilient to bumps and bruises and slamming it around inside of a squad car. So those are the two most mobile systems that we have. The next two are more of your desktop and enterprise NOC or TOC deployables that we can operate within a server room or on the desktop wherever you need it to live at. So the desktop deployable here that Greg referenced was a Flex, the Flex Mark II. It runs very cool. You can throw it into any situation where you have DC power. or an AC power source that comes with a wall wart to power this unit. If you need to have um, high connectivity within your TOC or your NOC system, we have a 2U rack mount that can contain up to 9 decoders or 9 encoders. And we also have blades that can switch back and forth depending on what your situation needs. You can flex to the situation and either encode stuff out of the system into TAC or milestone airship, etc., or take in feeds as needed and flex your solution around to what you need at the time of deployment. We have 3 different software and data based products as well. What you're seeing here is our global connectivity using Teradek data, and we have connectivity around the globe on native carriers and MVNOs. We also have native carriers here in the States. We have a cloud management tool called Core. Core is going to be where you can remotely set up and manage and view and disseminate all of your signal pathing and your system settings from one single pane of glass. So we can actually do everything from a single cloud instance instead of having multiple devices that we need to manage. And lastly is Core Share, which allows us to securely share from agency to agency, operator to operator, any feed that is within a specific workspace that the user can generate and manage themselves. So what's the difference between bonded cellular and our typical COFDM systems that we see, the RF systems that are currently on the aircraft? One of those big problems is the line of sight connectivity. If you have an aircraft that turns away from the tower, you're going to lose connectivity. The only way to do that is to have multiple towers, and that is just an expense that the agency is going to have to take on to manage those towers, to install multiple towers, to maintain their connectivity, and that comes at a price. Um, Compared to what we're talking about here, which is bonded cellular, and if we add Starlink to that as well, you're talking about LEO connectivity. But what we're looking at is multiple points of connection, so there's multiple failover points, system redundancy, so that the video and the awareness gets back to who needs to see it. This is also leveraging existing hardware that is consumer driven, and so we lose the cost associated with managing and putting up towers where they are needed to maximize your coverage. You're actually using the coverage that is already existing. I'm going to go through a couple workflows here just to demonstrate how we can take video from a source and send it out over either TAC or other systems, including the TOC or NOC enterprise solution. So this is just showing that the drone is sending wireless video back to the controller. Controller gives HDMI output into the Prism Mobile. We bond that over multiple SIMs. That could be FirstNet. It could be any carrier. We're carrier agnostic. That gets sent to our cloud, and from our cloud, the video is piped over to your TAC system where people in the field can watch it, watch the downlink live. This is more of a private service, so we don't have to operate within a cloud. You don't have to send this to a cloud anywhere. We can actually send this directly from the bonding protocol out of the Prism Mobile through the antennas over the air onto a private server that is behind a firewall, behind any IT restrictions that your agency requires. And we work with the agencies and develop white sheets on everything that the IT department will need to facilitate this connectivity. Again, this is adding Starlink into the mix. We add another level of protection to our video downlink, which is, as you can see, goes into the cloud and gets disseminated to not only our TOC, but also to mobile devices directly using Core Share, our proprietary system, internally to Teradek. And some install photos. This is next to a troll system here on the left. So you can see that the connectivity and the physical space that this takes up is a lot less than what is needed for a traditional system. Another picture on the right of it installed into another bird. Um, on the left here, we have somebody watching this live. So what we can do inside the bird itself is stream the video directly to an iPad or a phone in this instance, where pilots or anybody in the front who's not a TAO sitting in the back can actually see what the feed is doing right now and where they're at within less than half a second, or usually around 200 milliseconds. So it's near real time. This is on a 429 install. You can see behind the TAO there is a shelf where this system is mounted, and then it actually is using the existing LT antennas on this helicopter to connect to the ground system, and then another mounting point here on top of this radio, showing the size and relative mounting options that we have for these systems. So it doesn't take up a lot of space. It uses existing architecture for power and video signaling. So we can implement these directly into current architecture with very little manipulation to the aircraft, if any. Next, we're going to swing it over to John, and John's going to show us how he and his team uses Core Share to manage their devices. So take it away, John, please.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, everybody. So my name is John Cornell. I'm an officer with East Bay Regional Park Police here in the Bay Area. I'm also a public safety product specialist with Teradek. And I've started really putting this together. We're going to do it live here. So I'm going to show everybody the features of Core and how we've built in for a true public safety kind of backplane, if you will. We have 13 agencies that feed into our Core ecosystem, and that allows us not only interoperability, but it allows us the ability to bring in other agencies very easily. I do have one slide. Derek, I'm going to have you go to the next slide. Give you an idea of this was actually a real deployment where we had our Core Share, which I'm going to show everybody here in a second. But this shows exactly how we use this. We have multiple agencies, multiple aircraft feeding into Core using multiple receivers, multiple encoders, and the back product of it that we actually share out with people is a nice looking multi-view. We can go in, we can pick one of these to watch in full screen, or you can watch them all in this multi-view like it is here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. What I'm going to be showing everybody is my Core platform that we use here every day for public safety in the Bay Area. It's not a demo account. It is a live account that is used by multiple agencies. We do have a couple of aircraft up right now, and then I also have some demo sources coming in from my drone that I fly, and then also from one of our helicopters. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. So this is the Core platform, and this is kind of the backbone of all of these devices that Derek and Greg have been talking about. And this is our dashboard. And what this allows the user to do is to log into Core and see what's live, what encoders are powered on, what sources are we bringing into Core. There's a lot of features on here that are easily accessible. A few of them just on the dashboard that I'll go over is obviously in most of these encoders, we can go in and we can go to our settings page. That's going to be that gear up in the top right. That just brings you into the settings options for the actual encoder itself, which I'll go into a little bit more in a second. And then Derek talked about decoders. We can actually link to our decoders right from this page. So in a matter of about a minute, you would be able to go in and pick a source and link it to a decoder, whether that's at an EOC, whether it's in a mobile command vehicle, in a NOC, whatever the case might be, we can link to that in a matter of clicks. And what that would look like, I'll do it live right now. I'm going to take this source, which is coming from one of our helicopters. It is on the ground in the hangar. And I'm going to go ahead and link that to a decoder. And once I click on that option to select a decoder, it's going to pull up a list of all of my decoders. And I will admit, right before this, I did have internet go down, so I'm actually broadcasting this to you over Starlink, which is great. But what we see here is we have all of our list of decoders that are powered on, and then we also have some that are powered off. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick a decoder here, and I'm going to send it to the Coast Guard Command Center, and I'm going to link that source to that decoder. And what's going to happen in the back end is the core platform is going to take that video feed that's coming in from that helicopter, and it's going to send it over to that decoder that's sitting at the Coast Guard Command Center for them to see. That decoder is then available for streaming, so you plug it into an HDMI source, any monitor, TV, video wall, projector, and now that video source is going to come up as a large image. So that's how to link to a decoder. You can link to multiple decoders. You can have multiple sources going to multiple decoders at a time, and you do it all right there from that dashboard page. One of the greatest features of Core and how we really leverage it here in the Bay Area is what's called the Core Share platform. This is your one-stop shop for sharing with multiple people, multiple agencies, and also sharing multiple sources at a time. So that slide that you saw just a minute ago, this is where you would bring that up. And so what we use it for is we will have an incident, and what will happen is we'll create a link specific for that incident, and then we'll share that link out, whether it's through the law enforcement CAD system, whether it's through email, it could be even over a text message. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a live link right now for everybody that's on this webinar to actually watch with me. And so I'm going to walk through the process of what the operator in the field might be doing, or if you have somebody that's sitting in a real-time crime center, of how they would set up a link for an incident. And we're going to share that with everybody on here in real time. So you can see I do have quite a few workspaces set up in my account just because we use it every day. We have some that only have one source coming in, and then we have others that have multiple sources coming in. And it just depends on where those sources are being sent to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new workspace. And this is where you would give it a name. So this could be your incident name and the date. It could be the case number of what SWAT call you're working. Really doesn't matter what it's going to be. So I'm just going to call it the Teradek Web 2025. And then you do have a few options on here. The first option is to display the source info. Sometimes for people, they don't want to show the source info, just get all of that, the verbiage off of the screen. The end user just wants to see the video, so we allow that. And then the other option is to actually share files. So you can share files through a workspace, whether they're recorded from an encoder or they're uploaded from your machine. I've used this in the field where I've actually uploaded images that were taken with the drone so that we could share those images out. So for the sake of this, I'm going to turn that off just because we're not going to be recording and I don't have any files to share. But that is an option to be able to share in real time with the viewers. So as I go and create this, what it's going to do in the background is it's going to spin up a URL for me. I'm going to show you what that looks like. And what we're going to be able to do is add in a couple of sources from that dashboard that I showed you. And what that looks like is going in, we're going to modify this. And now you'll see my workspace is empty. And so what I want to do is I want to add sources to this. And I have some options on the side here. I have the encoders, which is like what Derek talked about, a Prism Flex, a Prism Mobile. And I can also bring in other servers. So in my instance, I have quite a few servers that are spun up that bring in our microwave feeds, and I'll go over what that looks like. But right now I'm going to add in our helicopter. I'll actually add in both of our helicopters. Even though it's offline, I will add in, how about a UAV here. We'll do this one. And then I'm going to add that to our source. And so now these encoders are going to be in our source. But I also want to add in a microwave, so I'm going to go through that same process. I'm going to go to our microwave servers here, which will pop up. And in my instance in the Bay Area, I have 3 microwave systems that are set up. And so I'm going to just select all of them. And then I'll also select our drone feed. And I do have the drone powered up outside. So now you can see I have these sources in here. One of them is going to show as offline. And that's how you would add in the sources to this page. Once I'm done with that, now I can go ahead and create my link. And all I do with that is I go into our share page here, and we have some options on how to share. We can share via email. So this is just a simple email, sends out to the end user. They get a link that says, hey, John is trying to share this with you. And when they pull it up, it's a one-time link that they can view this page from. We can also do over text message. So we can send a text message out. I use this quite frequently. I'll put in somebody's phone number. They get the link on their phone. They click on that link and it pulls up the video page. Then the last piece here is just a good old-fashioned URL. And right now you'll see there is no URL in here because I have to make a couple of selections. For the end user, we do offer the option to do voice and text chat. So kind of a two-way text and voice option between operators. It is useful in some instances, but for this case, I'm going to turn it off. And then we also have the ability to actually have this link expire. And so this is a self-expiring link depending on when I set it to. So this is useful for cases like a live SWAT call. You're going to be up at 4 in the morning, and then you want it to expire after that. You can send the link out to command staff, to other operators, and then once that link hits that date and time, it'll expire. So if those folks go in to try to view it at a later date, it won't work for them. For the sake of this, I'm going to have it just expire never. And then now I'm going to go ahead and generate my link. And this is going to generate a one-time URL. This URL is shareable. So like I said, if you email it, it can be forwarded. But there are some safeguards in here to prevent against too many people having that URL. And what that looks like is once the URL is generated, you'll see it populates up here. We can actually go ahead and just generate a new link if we want to. The minute I click that generate new link, it's going to wipe out that old one, create a new one, and anybody with that old link will no longer be able to see those video sources that are in this shareable workspace. So for the sake of this instance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, and we're actually going to throw this link into the chat. And once I click save, that link will be live. And so for anybody who's watching, whether you're on YouTube or on the webinar, you can now go ahead and click on that link and see these sources live while I'm going through the rest of Core with you. So I'm going to go ahead and give everybody about 30 seconds. Feel free to go in there, click on the video, open it up. That link is going to be live. And as people do, what we'll be able to see here is we can actually see how many people are watching. So that is something where as you go through and click on that, you'll be able to go in and for the back-end users, whether it's a sergeant, a lieutenant, somebody in the real-time crime center, they can see how many people are watching that link. So that link should be posted. Derek, did we get that link posted?
That link is posted, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, fantastic. So that link is in there for anybody that wants to go in and click around. Feel free. We do have, I have a couple of video sources that are on the ground, and then we do have a helicopter that's up in the air to show you what that real-time video looks like. So I'm going to keep going through here. As we click through, we have a couple of options on the side in Core. And one of our options here is the sources. And so now what this gives you is this gives the end user of Core, whether it's, again, sergeant, lieutenant, real-time crime center, maybe you have an analyst. It gives you the ability to go in and make changes to your encoders. And so the nice part with Core is you can go in and you can make any settings changes that you need to with Core right from this page. You don't need to touch the encoder. So once it's installed, you can go in and make changes. And what that looks like is I have all of my encoders here. And if I go over to the side here, I can reboot the device. And so that's going to give me the bare bones, just something's wrong with the encoder. I want to reboot it. And then once I go into the actual device itself, so in this case, I'm going to go into this helicopter's encoder, I now have some metrics from the device. So it's going to show me the video feed that's coming in. It's going to show me what resolution it's coming in. It's going to show me how many megabytes per second I'm using. And then I can even get even deeper into the settings of the device itself. So these are all of our settings that come into Core that we can control. We can control the network connection on the device. We can control the audio settings. So all of the prisms do have a two-way audio function. We can control how it's sending video. Here's all of our video settings. And then also just some basic stuff like, do you want to add a buffer? So some agencies want a buffer on their video. They don't want somebody on the ground telling their pilot how to fly. So they actually add buffer to that. And we can do that right from this page. If I were to make any setting changes, I would just click apply. And when that device is online, it gets applied instantly. So we can do all of that from Core. You don't have to touch the device. Once it's linked to the Core platform, the idea is that you never have to go and touch that device again. Firmware upgrades are done through Core. All of the video sharing is done through Core. And I have some devices that have been in aircraft for 5+ years, and I have never had to touch them. So that's how you get to your sources. And again, if I go back to that sources page, you're going to see in my account, because we have so many agencies feeding into it, we do have quite a few sources coming in here. As I scroll up and down, these are all sources that at some point are turned on. And then we also have our inbound streams. And again, that's just the video stream itself coming into Core. Derek mentioned the decoders. Same idea with this. On the back side here, we can see all the decoders that we have. So you'll notice I have a rack system here that's not powered on, but that is an option. We have some other decoders that are not powered on, and then we have the ones up top here that are powered on. You can see our Coast Guard commands is decoding. That'll tell me, hey, video is actually coming out of this device. And then if there was an issue or if I needed to go in and make some settings changes, I can do that from here as well. Getting into our servers, this is some more back-end stuff. This is things that we would help you with as the end user of Core. Derek and myself have a lot of experience setting up Core platforms to work for different agencies. But what we do have here is we have some different inputs. So we have our UAS input, and what this is doing is this is actually bringing a feed in from a drone that doesn't have an HDMI connection. So there are drones out there that don't have HDMI. And what we can do is we can spin up a server dedicated for that drone or set of drones. And from the drone, you can go in and you can actually, bring that in through a web link native on the controller. So as long as the controller has internet, you're going to be able to bring that into our platform. And then we have our microwave here. So these are the 3 microwave receive sites. They tie in natively, again, just over the internet. We bring them into a server, and then that gets distributed to the end users, like in that link that you guys have now. So that's the server portion. And the last piece that I'm going to show you is we do have a recording option. So in the back end of Core, you can go through and have recordings. What we do is we have some devices that are set to automatically record, and then we have other devices that are set to record just based on a manual control. And when I go to the dashboard, what that looks like is the ability to actually click the manual control up here. So some of these are recording right now and others are not. And if I wanted to record, I could easily just click that manual record button there, and that would start recording for me. That goes into the recordings page. You can set it to auto delete if you want to. And then once that hits that time frame, let's say 30 days, it deletes that video. You can download those videos right from Core in a native MP4 format. And what that allows you to do is take that video and upload it to something like evidence.com, an internal server, or another platform that you might want to send that video over. This gives a little bit of added buffer if the pilot up in the or the TFO up in the helicopter plane doesn't hit the record button soon enough, or if you're flying a training mission and you want to pull the video just to show what that training mission looked like, you can do that without having to record from the cloud there. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and then I'll turn it back over to Greg here. And let me do that.
All right. Greg, go ahead and unmute yourself, please. I still got nothing from Greg. Well, John and I can talk. John, I can still hear you, yeah?
Sorry.
Yes,
Thanks, everybody.
I'm still here.
All right.
We're going to open the field up to some questions. If anybody has anything about anything we've covered today, and while you're thinking about those questions, one of the things that John's agencies were able to do out in the Bay Area back in last summer when the former administration was there with APEC, they had a large talk set up at one of the warehouses down in San Francisco. Over a dozen agencies were down there, and they had multiple streams being shared to up to like 150 some odd users at the same time. The reason I'm bringing that up is currently, if you're a drone pilot and you're sharing using, let's say, DroneSense, every time you try to share it to another person, your bandwidth is cut in half. So there were no network issues when John's team was trying to share it and stream it across 150 users simultaneously. So that's a pretty big thing to keep in mind when looking at this system, regardless of what technology you're currently running, or if you've done some homemade, hanky type stuff of screen sharing that I know a lot of agencies have done. This is a nice, clean way of actually doing it, and it scales nicely.
Yeah, this was built for live production. So we started in cinema and live production here at Teradek. And utilizing the technology that we've built there, are able to build a system that is primarily focused on sharing and getting this out where a lot of the end users are having struggles and difficulty trying to see the situation and what's going on. So we stand behind this to kind of help deployments and end users like yourself, anybody watching here, deliver video and awareness to everybody on the ground as much as we can.
One of the areas that I like to highlight before we wrap up, recently Derek was out at the Daytona 500, and he was working with NASCAR and with one of the carriers. All the traditional carriers were locked down, and there was like the system crashed because of 200,000 people were trying to broadcast whatever videos they wanted to do. So we had an agency there, a federal partner that was there. They were struggling, trying to get something up and running because even FirstNet was down. Using private 5G, which is the network that Derek built with that carrier for NASCAR, all the video that you saw from NASCAR that day while it was being broadcast came across Teradek through private 5G. So that is a solution that you can start taking a very hard look at in your metro area or even out in the rural areas. It's not hard to deploy a private 5G like tactical bubble solution in conjunction with any other type of bubble you may be deploying and be able to utilize this without having the effects of large crowds.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Greg. If you guys have any questions about private 5G, tactical bubble, Teradek devices, streaming, sharing, any of those things, please visit gov.teradek.com and ask us questions there. There's links there, or you can actually send an email to live@teradek.com, and that will come directly to myself and our internal staff. So if there's anything out there that we haven't covered, please reach out and let us know. John, do you have anything to add?
No, we appreciate everybody being part of this webinar. Hopefully it's been helpful. Like Derek and Greg have both said, we're here to help build solutions. I started using Teradek 5 years ago in another agency's aircraft, and ever since then, we've just expanded with both hardware and the software solutions that were shown. And if it's something that thinking outside the box, we're happy to do that as well with our partner agencies. So feel free to reach out, even if it's something that just a off-topic question. We're happy to answer it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thank you again, everybody, for watching. And again, if you have any questions, please reach out to us at Teradek, gov.teradek.com or live@teradek.com. Thanks, everybody, again.